Vive le français, bonjour chers amis, j'espère que vous allez bien. So I hope you're all doing well. This video is in English language, but you can check it in French language as well. It is about how the space is divided in the city. This is what I'm going to tell you about. The space in France. First of all, you have the city center. The city center in many cities, or in the big cities like Paris, Marseille, the city center became just a touristic attraction. So mainly you have tourists to come there, and also some businesses. So if you go to Paris, all the city center, very few people live there. You take a place like Champs-Élysées, very few people live on Champs-Élysées. You only have businesses and tourists. So you have shops, commerce shops for tourists. Why? Because, and that's how it is in most cities, because people don't want to live there. They would rather live in the outskirts of the city, and they would rather have a garden, or it will be cheaper if they live a little bit farther away, so they would rather not live there. And then you have what you call banlieue. You have two types of banlieues. You have les banlieues riches et les banlieues pauvres, les banlieues défavorisées. Les banlieues défavorisées, they are the poor district, the ghettos. It's always the same all over Europe and in France. The city is divided like this with a cross, okay? The north, east is usually the worst, so this is where you have all the ghettos, it's poor. Most of the people who live there, they are the migrants. They come from Africa, they come from Asia, they are poor people. And then the wealthy part of the city is the southwest. As I was 20 years old, that was 18 years ago, in the southwest you wouldn't see any black guy, you wouldn't see any Asian. Now in southwest you see many Asian, many black people, because there was such a huge immigration and people start mixing a little bit together, so things change. Why poor people are mainly black people or people from Maghreb, maybe Arabic people or people from Asia? Why is that so? Because people don't mix together. You know, you have different culture, the culture is not the same, and people don't like to live together. For instance, you know, I live in China, so I don't mind Chinese people too much because I'm accustomed. I mean, I don't mind Chinese culture too much because I'm accustomed to it. Even sometimes it gets on my nerve. I know it. I know how Chinese people behave. But for many French people, they don't want to live in Chinese district in Paris, in the big cities. They don't want to be in Chinese district because in Chinese district you will be you have the noise, people with the crackers. With the crackers, like in China, you have people shouting "way, way" on the phone and talking very loudly. Many people talking Chinese everywhere. You would have the smell, the food when the cooking. For instance, people in China say shh, 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 they will do the food. It smells a lot. So you live in the same apartment and you have the noise from the people. You have the food. And of course, it's due to the difference in education and in culture. Okay, people are different, so they don't, and it's the same. So that's why people don't like to mix together. For instance, let's say you live in the district where you have mainly Muslim people. They are religious people, so it means during Ramadan, you are working the next day, but in the evenings they are eating and celebrating because it's Ramadan and making a lot of noise. But you need to work the next day, so there will be the clash, you know. And that's the problem. That's the problem. So that's why many people, now you have many ghettos, and these ghettos are divided, often based on wealth and also based on culture, you know, cultural background. So in some ghettos you have only Asian, yeah, mainly Chinese. In some ghettos you have only people from Africa or only people from Maghreb, because there is a common, you know, common language, common civilization, common culture, and also it's linked to the wealth. In some district, like I tell you, in the west, the southwest of Paris, now it's not only white. You have black, you have white, but it's linked to the wealth. You know, there are people who are all wealthy, and maybe the education. Even you see some Chinese, I think the education or the tradition, the culture is not Chinese anymore. They are people who were there for 2 generations and they're already French. You know, from the outside you think, oh, he's Asian, but in fact. So that's just to explain to you a little bit. The cities are divided by this, like this. Then what you have also the countryside. In the countryside, well, you have a few places where you have the farms. People don't live so far away from the road, because if you live far away from the road, you need to link the water, you need to link the electricity, the water pipe, so it's expensive. So you cannot live too far away from the road, usually, or you need to be off-grid, but very few people live off-grid in France. Yes, that's how it is. What else? In the smaller city, in the smaller village, in the smaller city, quite often many people don't like to live in the city center. So you have the city center that's almost empty. That's the case here in this village, because you have small housing. You are in the countryside. People want a garden. They don't want to live inside the city. Even these houses are beautiful. They are very old houses that are 200 years old, 300 years old, but people don't want to live there. Okay. Bon, let me leave you for now. I talk to you soon. À bientôt les amis.